understanding the things that's pushing that person. You understand those things that's causing that person to be hypocritical. That's causing that person to lie. And even when you say you lied, they still find a way to work around it. We just experienced that the other day. Called a gentleman out about lying, and he pretty much condoned it. A Christian. Discontent. So notice what I said. Discontent is going to lead me to prosperity, seeking prosperity, trying to be rich. It's going to lead me to sexual perversions potentially. It's going to lead me, and of course, fornication is included in sexual perversion, because God only intended for us to have sex in marriage. It's going to lead me to drugs potentially, or sorcery, as the Bible will call it. It's going to lead me to idolatry, worshiping something other than God. And ultimately, if discontent is really not checked, it can lead me to suicide. The ultimate escape. Won't have to worry about anything anymore until the resurrection. Until the resurrection. So, discontent, and it's really interesting. You notice sometimes the Lord appears to understate certain things. You see a few scriptures that talk about be content. No murmuring, no disputing. But they're really huge. As we read in Philippians, the caveat was being blameless. It opens the door to lots of sins. Opens the door to us ultimately completely rejecting God. As we studied in Genesis 3, we saw that exact thing happening. Eve's discontent. And what was she discontent about? The tree was beautiful to look at, and she clearly was looking at it. And in her mind, she couldn't even touch the tree. God never said she couldn't touch it. But she took the prohibition against eating it and expanded it into her area of discontent. Can't even touch the tree. And that was enough for Satan to understand, you're not happy with God. And with that, he presented the opportunity to keep sinning, because he told her there's no more consequence for sin. There's no more consequence for sin. You would surely not die. Then he followed it up by saying God's holding something back from you. God's being unfair to you. And she believed it. So, chapter 3 of Genesis, is a great chapter because there's so much we've gotten out of it. But discontent, if you go back and look at Genesis 3, you see that's what actually started everything. Because there's a little bit of room in Eve for Satan to find a place. You recall in the Gospels, Jesus said, the prince of this world comes, but has nothing in me. That needs to be what our confession is. The prince of this world comes. And we know he's going to come until he's destroyed. But he has nothing in me. He can only operate in darkness. But the Bible says, if my eye is single, then my body is full of light. Right? We know God is light and enemy is no darkness. But we need to be the same way. Well, the only way we can do that is also by putting God in us, putting his word in us, and living by his word. It's in those areas where we refuse to do so, that's where darkness can reside. And Satan is always expanding his territory. And let's remind ourselves about two scriptures. Galatians 6 says, be not deceived. Whatsoever you sow, you shall reap. 2 Corinthians 9 says that God will multiply the seed sown. Now, we read that on the positive side. But remember, he says he multiplied the seed sown. So if the seed sown was evil, then evil gets multiplied. All right? Whatsoever you sow, you shall reap. And what discontent puts us into this mode of doing is sowing judgment continually. We just judge everything. We can't be satisfied. Satisfaction, contentment lasts for a space of time, and then boom, we're back at it again, chasing something else. And you see it in certain